Hey guys, it's Jim. Welcome back to the channel. It's time for another podcast special, and we're going to be talking about the 1978 classic Halloween, one of the greatest horror movies of all time. And it really is a movie that's really always captivated me, always held a looming presence over me, much like the looming figure in the movie, Michael Myers. The story of the little boy who randomly murders his sister on Halloween night, then breaks out many years later and goes on another killing spree, targeting Laurie Strode, played by Jamie Lee Curtis, and as he is pursued by his doctor, Dr. Loomis, played by Donald Pleasence. I think this is one of the most well executed horror movies of all time, and I think one of the crazy things about Halloween is the fact that John Carpenter really wasn't trying in a lot of ways. You look back at that time and you hear from people who work on the film, you hear from the actors, you hear from the director, there really was just a can-do attitude that everyone was happy to just be on a film set and putting something out there. And when I say not trying, I don't mean it in the sense that there was no effort put in. It was more so there wasn't this big concerted idea that this would be a success. There wasn't this massive trying to appease people. It really was an expression. It really was a straightforward film. Like, really, it's just a slasher film. But he inserts these interesting things that to this day make Halloween stand out. And it really is a testament to how you can take a basic idea, and if you've got something in there that just makes it a cut above the rest in some way, gets you thinking, gets you interested, gets you intrigued, you can take a basic concept and take it to the moon. This was a different boogeyman to what we had seen in lots of horror movies that had come before. There was no magic, there was no eternal monster soul, it wasn't a werewolf, it wasn't a vampire, it wasn't a mummy, it was a man. And that's the terrifying thing about Michael Myers, the fact that they walked that line of, this man is the terror.
1819. Judith Myers. He came home.
He was everything you could imagine, everything you feared. You know, he was every time you thought you saw someone lurking behind a tree or walking, following behind you, that figure in the distance. Looking out the window, did you see something? Did you see something across the room, corner of your eye? Was someone watching you? He's that. He's not, you then learn more. No, he has to be that little glance, that little thought, that little back of your head fear of the unknown. That's what he is. That's why this film works. It doesn't need to elaborate. It doesn't need to, because your mind does all the elaboration for it. Your mind has all the fear it needs to. I think this movie really creates possibly the most normal feeling town ever in a movie, to be honest. Like, it just feels so calm and serene, this Haddonfield. The normality of the main character, Laurie Strode, played by Jamie Lee Curtis, is one of the strongest things about this film, because she feels incredibly normal, but she's incredibly good. Like, there's this spark about her, which is just kindness. And she's shy, and she's awkward, but she's incredibly innocent. And that's what this film's about. It really is the idea of innocence versus evil. Michael Myers watching is enough. Michael Myers looming is enough. To see him, his shoulder come into view, and just standing there watching, or to see him standing at the end of that hedge in one of the most iconic shots in all of horror. Like, the fact that that shot is one of the most iconic in all of horror says it all. A street in daylight, and that's so striking because he feels out of place in daylight. This character has kicked down the door of the regular world and is forcing them to confront the fact that there are forces out there who want to obstruct the regular, who don't believe in values, and, you know, who can't be reasoned with or bargained with. Michael Myers is that. You know, he's standing there in full daylight, haunting the main character. In filmmaking, a lot of times, when you're not trying, or when you're actually creating something that could be recreated but you're the first one who done it, means more in a way. Creating something that's true to life, that's real, that's down to earth, that's gritty, that's believable, but it's just a shot of a regular street and a character standing there in a white mask looming, and it means everything. You've pulled it off. You've done brilliance there. Like when Laurie's looking out the window and she sees Michael in the garden. You know, first seeing that at 12 years old on a Halloween night blew me away. Absolutely terrified me. Just the stare. He doesn't even have to do anything. He's not doing anything. He's staring. He's there. He's watching. That's the horror of Michael Myers. The fact that he can make you shit your pants by not even being near you. Like, it's just he's always getting closer by standing in front of you. And there's something about a horrifying figure standing there motionless in front of you just looking. That's imposing, you know, and that's what John Carpenter tapped into. That white mask taps into all the ghost stories we were told. You know, even Alien. You know, he even looks alien-like. That iconic mask, that William Shatner mask turned inside out, is the stuff of nightmares because it's blank. Even more than someone just staring at you, a blank expression staring at you. It's anti-human, it's anti-empathy. It's putting a veil between you and whoever is behind that mask. That horrifying world is there to be tapped into, and you can tap into it if you come at it from a genuine place, if you're willing to go there, if you're not going into it trying to make this horror crazy thing. If you're going into it trying to actually tap into what terrifies humans, you can discover these little easy things that actually become something incredibly meaningful. Guy behind the mask and Nick Castle was very swift and very slick, very ghost-like with his movements, very Spectre. He wasn't really told to do much. He was told just walk by John Carpenter. And it's crazy that I'm saying this. It was a lack of trying. That lack of ambition to the performance makes it more meaningful because he just is. He just is. Michael Myers just is in this film. He's swift, he's moving, he's walking. Of course, you've also got Dr. Sam Loomis, played by Donald Pleasence, who has some of the greatest lines in horror history, has some of the greatest monologues, but I think Donald Pleasence's performance is so strong because it's full of this nervous, holding something in, sincerity to his cause, but this fear. You know, he's sure, but he's also unsure. He's confident, but he's also not. He's trying to hold it all together, but inside he doesn't know how that terror is going to manifest. He doesn't know the depths of Michael Myers. Dr. Loomis feels so much pressure on his shoulders to stop Michael Myers because he couldn't stop him and he couldn't fix him when he was his doctor.
I met him 15 years ago. I was told there was nothing left. No reason, no conscience, no understanding, and even the most rudimentary sense of life or death, of good or evil, right or wrong. I met this 6-year-old child with this blank, pale, emotionless face and the blackest eyes, the devil's eyes.
And he feels guilty in that respect. He's a fascinating character because he's developed an obsession with him, so he has some affection for him because he's been his doctor for so many years. And this goes on in the sequels. You know, in the sequels, I would say some of the strongest parts of the sequels are Dr. Loomis, because even though the film go crazy and they go mental and they go wrong, I would say that Dr. Loomis generally stays right because it's all about that kind of messed up father-son relationship that he has with Michael.
Don't go to Haddonfield. If you want another victim, take me.
One of the greatest scenes in this film is the ending where Dr. Loomis finally tracks down Michael. There's this moment where Laurie pulls Michael's mask off and we see Michael without the mask. Now, it was made a big deal in the sequels. Oh, we're going to see Michael without his mask. It's Michael Myers unmasked. And I've always thought, we already saw that. I think the people who made the sequels forgot that. And I think the crazy thing about this film and that moment is it doesn't ruin the mystique of Michael when that mask comes off. It happens so quickly and it's such a bizarre moment, but I feel like it is done with intent, because I feel like we hadn't yet got to the point where it was a big deal we hadn't seen his face, and I feel like putting that mask off and seeing that he's just a regular person was John Carpenter's way of saying, look, he's a regular guy. I've just put you through all this stuff. I've just put you through all this terror, but look, it's a human being. And obviously Loomis shoots him and he falls back, goes in the room, and he's got the mask back on and he's standing there upright, breathing loudly. That's horrifying. And you know, it's the first time in the film where Michael's become a little bit close to those old supernatural horror icons we know who can't be killed, but he's not entirely there. This film still leaves an ambiguity, like, did the bullet skim him? Is he just full of adrenaline? Did he steal a bulletproof vest? Whatever it is. And Loomis looks out over and he's gone. Again, you know, you watch this and you wonder how they even considered making a sequel, because it all wraps up with itself. It's like this terrible nightmare. It's very dreamlike, the film. A lot of images in this can be linked back to dreams. Michael Myers is a very nightmarish character, but a character who only really makes sense, you know, the core of Michael and his actual abilities, it only makes sense in a dream world where these horrifying, looming people are coming after you. It's someone from those places we only go to when we are fully vulnerable, in our sleep, you know, in our imagination. That's what he's from. The film didn't insinuate that because he was gone, he was now going to come back after Laurie Strode. It was, he was gone and he could be anywhere. And everything feels so concise in John Carpenter's Halloween. I'm really impressed by it, because again, you know, without a lot of foresight in, you'd expect some of it to feel out of place, but it doesn't. Everything leads, every scene is meticulous and it all flows, very gradual, and just leads you by the hand, taking you further and further into this fear. It's much like Michael Myers is calmly stalking his victims and preparing to attack. The film is very calm, and you know, it's one of the most horror films I've ever seen where everything is working together, like everything is working in sync, like the performances, the dialogue, the music. It's all set up around this overall idea. Possibly the greatest horror film ever made, because I'm still in awe of its brilliance to this day. If you want to go back and see horror in its purest form, it's Halloween. What do you guys think of the 1978 classic Halloween? Let me know in the comments below. Please click on another video on the screen now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.